You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, we hit Lake Karapiro for the big one, the Stragglers' massive charity car show, clocking in at over 1,500 vehicles. We check out what's in the build at Real Rides in Silverdale, and we take a wander around North Shore Rod Kustom's annual toy run. But it's our mates at Maguire's getting us underway with a bit of a different one this week. She might look a bit rough up top, but underneath, it's all beauty and business. Meet Brian Mathews' sleeper spec 59 Ford Galaxie.
It was a bit of a lucky dip, so to speak. Me and a couple of mates were at the Karapiro Hot Rod Show. We came across this car and it had the original 292 with a 2-speed Ford automatic in it. It had all the paperwork and it was ready to drive away. So I phoned my wife and she said, well, gee, where the heck are you going to park it? Look at the size of the thing. She says, oh, well, measure the garage, see if it's going to fit. So she did that and it had 100 mils, 4 inches to spare each end. Perfect.
The 59 came with a finish 50 years in the making, something Brian wasn't about to change in a hurry. In fact, he didn't rush into anything, running the Galaxie pretty much as purchased for a couple of summers before that old familiar story started taking shape. You see, a mate's car had this 429 that ran real good, and it wouldn't be long till one found its way into the 59. And if that was a good idea, then a US-sourced Boss 598Q Beast surely would be a better one. Problem is, 800 plus horses at the wheels makes for a heck of a lot of motor to bolt into a tyre frame.
You could do a front clip, which is when you chop the chassis by the firewall and roll in an independent front end, which gives you more room for headers and engine mounts and everything. But you're still going to have, from there on back, you're still going to have the old chassis, which in the day will weld it up pretty quickly, not that strong. So we decided to go for the Art Morrison option. Gives you the whole 4-link rear, solid diff, coil-over shocks, front and rear, independent front. Plus it has the exhaust holes through the cross members, which keeps the whole exhaust system up off the ground, so you can then lower the whole car more.
With the big Ford hovering above Art Morrison bones, John Hinton was tasked with making the 2-into-1, including custom mounts, gearbox crossmember, rejigged floor and headers. The 598 feeds a 4-speed top loader and an Art Morrison case diff, chock full of strange goodies. And while this new combo would take the big girl to new levels of power, stopping and handling, it was important that it still sorted the job intended, to be a street car.
I spoke to Tony Marsh first and I said, what's the maximum compression ratio I should be asking for? And he said, don't get anything above 10-to-1, because you want to run it on pump gas. You don't want to be putting avgas in it, because that's just a hassle. You've always got to carry fuel. It's got a reasonable cam in it. As far as those engines go, it's really mild. It'll be good to see what we can do at the drags. I did a 13.9 with the old 429, which was 400 horse. I don't think we're going to halve the times by doubling the horsepower. And once again, if you get into the 10s, then you've got to be putting roll cages in, which I don't want to do. So it's going to be a bit of a juggling act when we eventually get to the strip.
The project is now on running miles, and while it's sleeper guys means Brian better get used to the words when you're going to paint it. Hey, even the chassis is one clear coat short of naked. But this car is exactly what Brian and his build crew were going for.
It gives you something to get out of bed for in the morning, when you've got a goal. I mean, even when I was saving up to buy the engine, I had a picture of it on my screensaver on my computer at home, and so every time you turn it on, you'd see it. So you knew when you were getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work, to be on site 7:30 start, and you're getting home at 7 o'clock at night, it was for a reason. And same with the chassis, you know. When that arrived, it was like Christmas time. Everyone was ripping open the pallet and the packaging and pulling out all the 4 bars and axles, and yeah, no, it was great. You know, we'd do it again for sure. The biggest thing that I notice is the group of mates that you have around you, just willing to give a hand, you know, whenever you basically put your hand up. Even when you don't put your hand up, they're here helping, you know, right, what's next on your car, to sort of keep you enthused and keep the ball rolling. I think you'd run out of things to talk about, but you never do. To sit here and have it finished and think about all the hundreds and hundreds of hours that people, not just myself, but other people have put into it. It's really quite humbling.
Right, next up, those nice folk at Nidaka sent us to Lake Karapiro to take in the massiveness that is the 2017 Charity and Classic Car Display and Family Fun Day. It's not just the event's name that's enormous. As far as turnout goes, they don't get much bigger than this one, the gate crew losing count after 1,500 vehicles this year. And the best bit? Well, thanks to the huge effort by Waikato Club Stragglers Rod Kustom, this day is all about the kids, with proceeds from the day going to local charities.
Stragglers is a fantastic club to be a part of, very small. This is our one big event for the year. We feel that if we can put something back into the community and help the kids, especially our kids who are less fortunate than others, that's pretty much it for our club, yeah.
It's fabulous, you know, it's a great old thing, and good for the community, good for the kids. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
It'd be very fair to say the event has now grown into its most recent location, the Lake Karapiro Domain, a little south of its previous home in Cambridge. Although the move was initially a last-minute plan B when some dodgy trees ruled out the first spot, hindsight now suggests it was meant to be, with numbers well beyond the original's capacity.
Love the event. We used to go to the event when it was in the basin at Cambridge, and just the number of people here, the cars. You know, it was 800 cars at Cambridge, and there's, you know, over 1,000 now. It's horrendous. It's awesome, and you get to just meet people, talk to people.
This is one of the musts. You've got to come to this show. Funny enough, all of my cars that I've had, it's always been the first time to this show, and this is the first time it's sort of been here all done up, so it's great. 1957 Chev pickup, and we've got a 348 big block Chev in it with a 671 blower on it now. Originally I got the 58 Bel Air, and that's always been my dream car I had. Then I wanted a work truck, so I bought this, and you know, fitted the bill finally, until I decided one day to start tidying it up, and then it's no longer a work truck, and now I had to buy something else for work. Every time I did something to it, I could just see the beauty in it, and it just led from one thing to another, and next minute I've got this, so yeah, great to have it. Privileged.
Finding the lake a little short on swell, but certainly looking the part, was this straggler.
It's a 1960 Chevy Nomad. I've had it for probably 8 years. Just a work in progress really, doing little bits as I can. It's running a 305 with a 350 turbo, and pretty much a daily driver. Drive as much as I can, burn some fuel. A little bit here, a little bit there. I've done the roof, so it's got to do a bit of the doors and stuff, so you know, rob a bank could be good.
It's a 1959 Mercury Montclair, obviously two-door hardtop. Originally would have had a 383, but I've powered it with a 390 because when it came into the country, apparently out of a wrecker's yard, no motor, knackered suspension, but awesome body, yeah. Had to repaint the bonnet because it wasn't original and didn't match the car, but the rest of the body, basically we've done no rush repairs, given it a polish, and we just put wax on it. Yeah, fantastic. Oh, I think I know probably about half a dozen there, yeah, but no, not too many around, eh? None that look like this one anyway.
So we've got a 67 Chev, was a C20, is converted to a C10 if you like, so it's rather than 8-load wheels, gone down to 5, and it's running a small block Chevy, aluminium heads and dedicated LPG. Probably had it for, I would say probably 9 to 10 years or so, maybe longer. Time goes, you know. It was one of those deep freeze models that were bought in way back in '67 for big deep freeze down South Island. So it originally started as one of those and sort of worked his way around to all sorts of things and beaten up and well used and fairly worn out when I got it. So yeah.
Those terms could also be applied to Stragglers members after shepherding 1,500 plus vehicles in and out, let alone the months of planning. But hey, we didn't hear any complaints.
It doesn't get any better than that. You know, you look around the lake here and the trees and the park and the way everything's maintained, and it's perfect for this. Yeah, absolutely perfect.
Amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. The first Monday of December is a big one. Summer is here, Christmas is knocking on the door, and if you're a petrol head in range of Auckland, there's few better places to be than North Shore Rod Kustom Club's annual toy run. A baking hot evening awaited the hundreds of cars that rolled into the St Heliers destination. Entry was by way of a donation, be it currency or toy form, as those would go to the Salvation Army to be distributed as Christmas gifts. Feel-good factor aside, the toy run makes for a pretty neat family-friendly car show. And the lineup sported plenty of high-end cars amongst the classics, a few new cars as well as old favourites out of winter hibernation. And all in all, not a bad way to see it summer. Okay, thanks to our mates at Mount Shop, it's shed raid time now. This week we're up in Silverdale to check out the workshop of Real Rides.
I guess we started off as I was just me on my own, just doing some panel and paint, and kind of grew from there. Now we do from blasting right through all the panel and paint, put engines in, gearboxes, suspension, you know, wiring, everything really except for upholstery. It's my vision of what I wanted to do, and we're getting there slowly, very slowly. I bought my first V8 when I was 18. I bought it as a 66 Impala. By then I was already well into cars. I had 17 cars by my 17th birthday. Yeah, I bought a 68 Camaro when I was 21. I still got that today. Yes, it's just stemmed from there. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. I don't seem to spend as much time out there cruising around anymore, but I do love coming to work. Yeah. Yeah, we get all sorts of different cars in here, English cars, American, Australian, you know, European, just all sorts of different cars. The main thing is that they're all just a little bit point of difference, you know, it's someone's hobby. We like to get a vision of what a car is going to look like and work with the customer, and it's good to work right through till the end and see the finished product.
Variety would be a good start in summing up the projects on the go currently, but there's still a common formula followed when building a Real Rides ride. However, it's also about being a little bit flexible too.
Well, it's nice to have a set plan, but just the nature of customers and the job itself, there's always changes along the way, always changes of some kind or another. Well, firstly, we like our bodies to be nice and straight, good paint job, not something half-assed, and then we also like to get wheels and stance right. That's, to me, that's as important as the paint. Getting that thing sitting nice and low, or a decent set of wheels and tyres on there, that makes a big difference.
A good chunk of those boxes have already been ticked on this project, a 68 Pontiac Bonneville. While at first glance you might assume this is now a nice straight factory muscle car, that's in fact far from the case here. It's all in the details, this one, and some of those aren't that minor. To start with, the car is now a hardtop. The hood? Nope, that's not how the factory made them, and you might spot a bit of 69 Camaro in the valance. The rear treads weigh in at 15 inches wide, and motivation will come by way of a pro-charged and stroked big block.
Started off, we were going to put some Mercedes seats in it, so then we did all flat floors, and then, one thing's gone from another, and the goalposts have changed plenty of times, and now it's, full-out custom. There's lots of little bits and pieces on it that people won't even notice. We've taken parts off different cars, other Pontiacs that one never came out with, and added them to that car to make it seem like it's from the factory. But if you don't know the car, then you won't know it's not factory. And
while the Bonneville is one of the more extreme builds at this time, there's plenty to keep the boys busy. From the US buyers getting match fit for New Zealand roads to this van, packing on the pounds and dropped over late model suspension. There's always something to keep the crew on their toes.
Yep, every project's different, all right? We can be working on, half a dozen different things in a day. The boys sometimes not sure what they're coming to work to get to do.
And yep, a job is a job, but this one definitely comes with its perks.
One of my favourite things is, seeing people out at shows and out on the street and that have had their cars done, and all the looks and good comments. It's got to be good enough so that we would drive it, I don't know if I'd call it a dream job, but I do enjoy coming to work. So, yeah, if you could take the money out of it, it would be a lot easier.
Okay, thanks to Need a Car, we're back at Karapiro for the massive charity classic car display put on by Stragglers Rod Kustom. With a mind-boggling turnout of over 1,500 vehicles, auto events in New Zealand don't get much bigger than this one.
Oh, yeah, New Zealand's crazy, really, isn't it? You think about the small population that we have and the amount of people that enjoy the car scene, it is amazing, yeah, it's pretty cool.
We don't need an excuse these days, do we? But yeah, it's always great to have good weather and to go for a run in your car.
It takes a lot to stand out among the hordes of cars, caravans, bikes, and things that sort of look like bikes, but the blazing Lambo pearl hue coating Graham's Roadrunner worked for us. This was the car's second Karapiro Show outing, but only just.
We bought it in Tauranga on the Saturday, and on the Sunday drove it straight to here. And then I've had it here, so I've had it a year since. And yeah, we just drive it as often as we can and get it out on the road and make use of it. It's a 1971 Chrysler. It's actually satellite, just as a Roadrunner. It's got a 440 in it. Love driving it, and just it gets looks everywhere it goes. Doesn't matter from kids, they'll give you the thumbs up when you're driving. The colour just makes it stand out, something incredible. And yeah, we have heaps of fun with it. Chrysler Mopar mad. I love my Chryslers, and I've got a few of them. Love the big bulkiness of them. Just love the shape of anything through that era.
While the day's official start time was 9 a.m, Grant's day dawned a whole lot earlier, making the drive from Napier in his mild custom Buick Special.
It's model 46R. Yeah, and it's running the original running gear. It's a 364 nail head with the Dynaflow transmission and torque tube into the original diff. Goes really well, just a 2-barrel, but it's had a tickle up. Transmission's had a little bit of a birthday as well, and it gets along real well. Yeah, very happy with it. Yeah, well, a little bit of a story with this one. It was originally, I saw it for sale over in America, probably 9 years ago. They said to me, look, we sold this, a good 8 months ago. So I said to them, well, look, maybe take it off your website, Anyway, 2 weeks later, having a look on Trade Me, and you wouldn't believe it, here's the same car sitting up in Tauranga, 60 k's away from where I was living at the time. Got hold of the guy and I said to him, look, I've been chasing this thing, unbelievable, can I have first option? So shot up and had a look and bought it straight away, you know. But back then it was satin black, it was sitting on a very early air ride setup. So I did a swap with another guy, took his lowered original suspension and he took my airbags, and we cruised around in it like that for a little while, and then my niece approached me one day and she said, Grant, can we borrow the car for my wedding? I want something cool for the boys to turn up. And so it was a little bit patchy, so I got hold of GT Norris, who was running the Autoholics paint shop at the time, and I said to GT, can I come over and squirt a coat of black on this thing just to tidy it up a bit? And he said, yeah, bring it over, bring a box, you know how it goes. I think it was about, I don't know, a couple of boxes of beer, and 48 hours later the whole thing was completely stripped on the floor, interior was out, fenders were off, and I had to borrow my mate's Pontiac for the wedding.
But just like the event itself, a change of plans is clearly not always a bad thing. 2 locations and now 12 years down, the Stragglers had already been able to hand over in excess of $130,000 to local kids courses in the Waikato. And that's before the monster that was this, the 2017 show. Great stuff. Every week, we're giving our viewers the chance to win a Teng Tools and Maguire's gift pack worth $250. Simply go to themotorhood.com and follow the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. Plus, by entering our weekly draws, at the end of the series, one lucky viewer will win a Teng Tools 460-piece automotive toolkit, a complete Maguire's car care pack, and a $500 Mount Shop voucher. The total value of this grand prize is almost $5 grand. Good luck, everyone. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.